Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the TV Central podcast. I'm Aaron Ryan. Some great interviews as of late. David Mott, Tim Warner, Kim Dalton, all the big names, with a massive Australian event coming up this weekend. And no, it's not a rematch of the AFL Grand Final, and no, it's not the NRL Grand Final either, but it is the beginning of the 2010 Commonwealth Games live from Delhi. Joining me on the podcast is the host of the daily morning program, Good Morning Delhi, and the current host of Sports Tonight as well, Brad McEwan. Brad, thanks for joining me on the podcast from Delhi.
My pleasure, Aaron. Terrific.
Yes, and as I did mention there, lots of sport coming up. You probably didn't think that the Commonwealth Games would be kicking off with two major grand finals before the Games.
No, well, that certainly threw things last week, didn't it, with the draw between Collingwood and St Kilda. And I must say, it is an enormous pleasure to be here in Delhi. But I flew over at 11 o'clock last Saturday morning, landed in Singapore. First grand final I haven't been at or seen probably since I was 5 or 6. And I'm on the cusp of being 40. So there's a few decades of watching AFL history unfold. And when we landed in Singapore, and then to find out, a chap on the plane, he was able to get onto his phone first and find out it was a draw. I was stunned, and would you believe I'll be on another flight next for the replay between Collingwood and St Kilda. So I think if you believe in fate, I'm not there to watch this, but of course I will get a copy and watch both games as soon as I can.
Excellent. First up, look, it's hard to go past all the controversy over security and all that type of stuff. Let's just start from your own perspective. You've been in Delhi hosting Sports Tonight, so you actually have been there for the week. How have you felt in terms of your own personal safety?
I felt absolutely secure the whole time that I'm here. And I'm not just saying that because we're hosting the games, but the processes that have been put in place are so thorough. We had security briefings before we left Australia. We have a security manual that we've all read. We have a security team here to look after us. So every time we go out anywhere, we have somebody with us, which is very comforting and very reassuring. And not only that, here in India, I mean, to walk into the hotel, you go through numerous scans. There are security people with guns everywhere. You can't go from the hotel up into your room without going through a scanner. Same when you come to the International Broadcast Centre. So it can be a little time-consuming at times, but you wouldn't want it any other way. It is so thorough. We all feel very safe. That said, of course, we're in another country, and we have to be, and we are acutely aware of any sensitivities and their cultural differences. And by doing that, I think we're not placing ourselves in a situation where we can get into trouble.
Look, in some of the media conferences I've seen and just what you've talked about, seeing all of those, you can't walk down the street without seeing, the military with guns and stuff. It does kind of remind you of, the pictures that you see from Afghanistan with just military and stuff everywhere. So, I mean, is that not the definition of sort of being unsafe in the sense of if there has to be that much military and you can't walk down the street without someone with a gun? Is that not a sort of a definition of there being trouble, or people perhaps needing to be afraid?
I think first and foremost, Aaron, we have to acknowledge that we're in India. We're not in Australia. It can at times be, well, it is often a volatile country, and we have to have all these steps in place in order to do what we can and all going well ensure that this event goes smoothly and we don't have an incident of a terrible nature. We are in India, and to see the people, the guards and whatever with the guns, talking to the people that we're working with here in Delhi, that is commonplace in this part of the world. Right. And I feel comfortable seeing that. Yeah, you're seeing the pictures. When we do a story on security, and that's obviously been a big part of the lead up to these games, they're the pictures you're seeing. But I've also been out riding elephants, and I've been in Old Delhi playing cricket with gorgeous children, and we've had a security member with us, but we haven't, we've felt totally safe. It's just been wonderful, and we go out in the morning and we walk to India Gate through the beautiful parks, and you don't see a lot of those pictures, but I can assure you over the next 2 weeks you will be seeing more of those pictures, and you'll be seeing all those things that India and Delhi offers as well.
Look, we've had some Australian athletes pull out so far. I'm just wondering, from the network perspective, what direction you've had from executives at 10. So what I'm sort of saying is, have the network told crew, look, if you don't want to go, the network would not hold that against you, or against your job or anything. Has anyone in the crew pulled out, or has there been any talk like that what's the talk from 10 been?
Look, first and foremost for Channel 10, and I've worked for Channel 10 for 10 years, their priority with these games is, well, I would say the second priority is to, and this is just me, I'm not speaking on behalf of 10 and 1, let's say there are 2 priorities. One is to do a fantastic coverage, and that's what we're here working to do. But first and foremost, and having worked for 10 years, they look after their staff. And Channel 10 wouldn't be sending us here to Delhi if they weren't 100% comfortable that we would be safe. I didn't hesitate. Look, I spoke to my family and said, how do you feel? And they said, look, fine. We are comfortable with the fact that you're going, and we are comfortable with the steps that have been put in place to ensure that you will be safe. There's no one, look, and again, I don't know if anyone from 10 has pulled out, but amongst the colleagues that I work closely with, no one has pulled out, and I must say, on behalf of all of us, we are having the time of our lives here in Delhi, and I'm going to miss this place. It is sensational. Sensational.
Yeah, I bet. Look, there's been talks about the Athletes' Village not being completed and certain venues not ready. What updates can you give me on that? Any more snakes in any of the rooms?
Look, I didn't get into the Athletes' Village, but I don't think it's a secret that, to start off with, it was pretty ordinary. And I think the organising committee, maybe it needed a kick in the backside to get it all up and running. And I think the Army went in, and various organisations went in to get it all cleaned up. And Australia's Chef de Mission, Steve Monaghetti, a few days ago, he said he thinks it's fine. We've spoken to various athletes, and they are totally fine with the village. So I think it didn't start off great. But I think now it appears to be a lot better. Again, and I haven't been in there, but even the head of the Commonwealth Games, Mike Fennell, has said that, there were some things that could have been done better. I think it's fair to say the Athletes' Village is one of those. But having spoken to all the athletes, they seem to be very comfortable with the accommodation now.
Yeah. Look, I want to move on because the Games is about the athletes and about the game and the coverage and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's what we're looking forward to for the time. Just tell us, how many crew, both on and off air, have had 10 sending for the coverage?
Yeah, well, we'll have 150 people back in Melbourne at our Dockland studio, and we've got 60 people over here, and it's so exciting. I've got to say, I'm normally working out of Pyrmont in Sydney, and that's fantastic. You love that every day. But to be here in Delhi with all your colleagues, or so many of them, is just fantastic. Not only that, we're working with about 80 locals here in Delhi, fixers and producers, and that is so much fun too. So these people that were just names and colleagues, over the past week, they've become friends. And already we have a guy working with us, Sumit, and he's the nicest guy. And already I've given him my card, and he wants to go to Australia. I said, you've got to come and stay with me. So, building these relationships, not only with, because you must remember too that we have people here from across Network 10 throughout Australia. So you don't know them all. You may know them as a face or a name, but, you go out for dinner and you get to know them, and that's been fantastic as well. So, yeah, it's really exciting, and we've got a lot of people here, and not only that, there's a lot of media full stop over here as well. So it's a hive of activity.
Yeah, it sounds like a big crew. So tell us about the coverage, the different components throughout the day, and sort of telecast times, and how much coverage can viewers expect?
Well, I'll be on with Kath Robinson in the morning with Good Morning Delhi, and then when the competition gets underway from 1 till 5:30 in the afternoon, the main session, Stephen Quartermain will be hosting that. He'll hand over to Billy Woods from 5:30 until 11:30, and then Corey Wingard, for those of us that don't like to go to bed at night and like just to have our sporting fix 24/7. Corey Wingard will be up from just before midnight until 4 a.m. So there's a lot to look forward to, and it's going to be fantastic. You know, we are committed here to just producing an outstanding sports coverage. We can't wait to get into it.
Excellent. I did want to ask about One's coverage,
Yep.
but there was a press release that went out just yesterday. Just reading the first paragraph of that, Network 10 welcomed the federal government's decision to allow coverage of the Delhi Games to continue on the network's digital sports channel 1 each day from 5 to 6 p.m. when 10 will broadcast 10 News at 5. So that you've been sort of given permission to do that.
That's exciting. It's fantastic for us because, and this is why we're so excited to have with your multi-channels. We've got one, so people that want to stay with the coverage, they can keep watching. Those people that want to flick over to the news and see what's been happening, not only here in Delhi, but back home and around the world, you get that. And that's what it's about. It's providing options. So we're really excited that that legislation has been passed. It gives us a chance to satisfy those people that want to keep watching the sporting events, and those people that want to watch the news can watch the news. You've got options, which is terrific.
And how else will One fit into the Commonwealth Games coverage? Obviously, they can't show other live sporting events during that. Will there be other highlights and stuff on One?
We'll have highlights throughout the day, and when we're not actually at the events, we'll have updates throughout the day. Sandra Sully's hosting updates. Helen Kapelos is hosting updates as well. Lockie Reed will be providing round the ground. And that's the great nature of sport, isn't there? In that we might be planning for a great story at the athletics, but before you know it, something might be happening at the lawn bowls. So all of it, and as a journalist, that's what I love. You start getting wind of something's happening or someone's at the pool and they've swum this amazing time, so all of a sudden our focus turns to the pool or somewhere else, the weightlifting, and our fantastic stories unfolding there. And through One and through 10 and through our enormous team that we have here, we're able to cover all of that and bring all the wonderful stories, because sport is sport. We don't know what's going to happen. We think Liesl Jones might win a few gold medals, but like Stephanie Rice 4 years ago in Melbourne, there will be somebody that we don't know that well, and over the next 2 weeks they will become an Australian sporting star, and that's what we're so looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we watch the games for. With the opening ceremony, any news on the entertainment? Who will be, who's performing, or anything like that?
Aaron, I'm glad you've asked about the opening ceremony. I've been given a strong little tip that it is going to be very exciting. You may have seen on the news that there's this floating aero ship, and there'll be pictures, I believe, portrayed up there on that. I believe there will be a break with tradition too, which is significant, and I think the athletes might be coming out first, Australia first. So the athletes can enjoy the ceremony, because as we know, over the decades at sporting ceremonies, the athlete march tends to be towards the end. So they miss out on it all. So this time, I believe they might be coming out first, and they can be a part of it. Of course, we're in India, and what a fantastic, colourful country it is. I believe we'll be acknowledging, or they'll be acknowledging, all those wonderful elements of India, yoga and Bollywood. And I'm also led to believe that the Australians have had a fair input into this, that I don't be surprised if there are all these fireworks around the top of the stadium, on top of the grandstand. And I think the riggers that did that are from Perth, believe it or not. So that's something to look forward to as well. So there's a little snippet of what's coming up, but I think it's going to be spectacular. In fact, I don't know of too many opening ceremonies that aren't spectacular. And the great thing is, we had a great opening ceremony in Melbourne. This is India. It's going to be incredibly different. I can't wait to see how different it will be.
Yeah. That sounds a little bit more exciting than the grand final rematch entertainment. We've got Lionel Richie coming over, so hopefully the Commonwealth Games will be a bit more exciting than that, hopefully. Look, you're hosting the Good Morning Delhi that will run against sort of sunrise and today each and every day of the coverage, so including the weekends. You're co-hosting with Kath Robinson. Tell us about the show, what's it about, what it will feature.
excited about Good Morning Delhi. And Kath is a really good friend of mine. So when they asked Kath and I to host it, I know I was thrilled and she was too, because we are mates and we catch up outside of work and we get along really well. From 6 till 9, you'll find for the first hour we'll be crossing to our commentators and athletes here in Delhi, basically reflecting on what's happened overnight, what's happened the day before. We'll be reviewing the great stories that have unfolded and the great events and what's happening. And then from 7 till 9, we'll, I think it's acknowledged that not all the family members can make it and friends can make it here to Delhi. So for those 2 hours, we will be crossing across the breadth of Australia to all those family members. And we know that the mums and the dads and the grandparents that perhaps took their young daughter to swimming every morning for 5 years, and it was her dream to represent Australia. She might have won a gold medal the night before. Let's cross out. Let's hear from them. Let's see how excited they are. Let's see the celebrations back here in Australia. As well as that, we'll have some of the biggest names in Australian sport in the studio at Docklands. We'll have Hayley Lewis in there and Libby Tricker talking about the swimming. Don't be surprised if one Catherine Freeman, our superstar from the Sydney Olympics and the 400 metres. Don't be surprised if Catherine Freeman pops into the studio as well. There'll be a lot of colour as well. As I say, this is India. We might, I'm not saying we will, we may have an Indian chef in there to cook up some breakfast for us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We can't wait. I can't wait for it to get underway.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. I'm just wondering, like, as we sort of finish off this podcast, how you see the games playing out with the surrounding controversy. I'll just let you know my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of controversy and talk right up until the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony starts, and then as soon as it starts, it's going to be about sporting events. It's going to be about gold medals, and I think all of that's going to fade away. I'm just wondering what your opinion is on with all the controversy, how the games will go this year.
Aaron, I think you're right, and I hope you're right, because this is a celebration of sport. It's a celebration of people, and there has been a lot of controversy because of where the games are. They're in India, they're in Delhi. But after hiccups and some problems, talking to everyone here and all the locals, they are so committed. I mean, India's on the world's eyes are on India for the next fortnight. There's 1 billion people here. There are 1 billion people that want this to go extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
We're excited. They're all really excited. We just hope that some of those stories, so many wonderful sporting stories, unfold over the next couple of weeks. And you know, the great thing too, whenever you have a big sport event in your own country, I mean, it means so much for all those Indian athletes. So we associate India with cricket and a bit of hockey and shooting, but you know, there's going to be a lot of athletes here being supported by so many Indians, and there'll be so much hometown support, and that's going to be really exciting too. And we certainly wish India really well over the next fortnight as well. Of course, we would love to see Australia on top of the medal tally, and Australians love to win. We love to compete and we love to win, but over the next fortnight, if we can finish these games and we can go, wow, what a great event, so many amazing stories, after some problems at the start, it was spectacular. We'll all remember it. I think we'd all be so excited by that.
Excellent. So just before you go, your first Good Morning Delhi program's on Monday morning. Can you tell us anything that's happening on the first show, or is it sort of, you're basing your shows based on what's happened the night before and you don't really know what's going to happen each day?
No, we can preview and we can talk and we can be excited about what's coming up. And of course, a bit of Monday's show will be ceremony, which, as I've discussed before, by the sound of it, it's going to be spectacular. So we'll have people in the studio who know about putting on those kinds of events, which is certainly not me. The questions, they can give us the answers, but the pictures will be great. And the great thing too, I'm here in Delhi at the moment, but I'm really excited too to be able to then, we can cross back to our commentators and say, this is what we heard was going to happen at the opening ceremony. How was it? What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah.
So there'll be a big part of that on the Monday, but then looking ahead and a lot of colour, and I've been here in Delhi this week shooting some stories. We've got a lot of the wonderful aspects of India to bring back to people in Australia. I've never been here before, Aaron, and I've got to say, I just said to someone, I am going to miss this place. It is sensational. I wish I'd come to India 20 years ago.
Well, hopefully we can see all of that excitement through the coverage and stuff. That I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually from Perth, and usually because of time differences, there's sort of issues with that. But Perth is actually one of the cities that comes out really well with the coverage. It fits right into prime time perfectly, so it's going to be great. Other markets as well. Look,
it'll work really well. Terrific.
Look, we do have a comprehensive guide to the games right now on TV Central, as well as normal television guides for the telecast times in each main market around Australia. I'll also be posting a review of each day's coverage through 10's media releases and have a gold medal tally board with which will be updated every day with Australia on top, of course, every day. Brad McEwan's Good Morning Delhi program 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. each and every day of the Commonwealth Games, starting Monday, October the 4th. And the opening ceremony Sunday night on 10. Check your guides for that midnight in the East Coast markets. Anyway, Brad, thanks for joining me at TV Central.
Aaron, my pleasure, and I look forward over the next couple of weeks to saying to everyone who tunes in, Good Morning Delhi. It's going to be great.
Brad McEwan, part of the 10 coverage of the 2010 Commonwealth Games from Delhi and co-host of Good Morning Delhi there. Good luck to all the athletes. We wish them every success for Australia. That's all for this podcast this week. And until the next one, I'm Aaron Ryan for tvcentral.com.au. See you then.